Okay guys, welcome. I love this layout. I'm prefacing this right from the beginning. This is an 18-minute video and you've got to watch it all the way to the end because wow, I love it. Some layouts I like and some layouts I love. This one is in the love category. So what am I doing? First of all, I go in with a stencil and some lumberjack plaid and distress oxide ink. And I do use a lot of oxide inks on this layout, just so you know, okay? I will have everything listed below so that you don't have to stop and write anything down if you're curious. This is the KAISERCRAFT stencil called Cobblestone. It's a 12 by 12 stencil. As you can see, I've got a bit of paint, acrylic paint on it. I don't mind. The only thing I make sure is when I use my inks, I definitely wash them off because otherwise it will muddy up my next project. So I went in with some lumberjack plaid. Now I'm going in with some hickory smoke. I'm just getting some texture in the background. No, my stencil is not straight, and I did that on purpose because I didn't want this to look like a square within a square. So I've done this. I've put in some hickory smoke. Now I'm coming in with some black soot just to get some texture going in the background. Check it out. I love that. Love, love, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, this is a Halloween layout. So here I'm going to show you how I colored up my bats. I used my mini ink blending brushes. I've used a bit of hickory smoke through the center of my bats. I did my cobwebs with some hickory smoke. Now I'm just adding some hickory smoke in and around the coffin. So I'm building up the layers. I'm building up different, dark and light sections on it. And this is how you slowly build up. Now the oxides lay over the top of a previous color, okay? So because they've got the pigment ink and the dye ink. So because they're a combination ink pad, that's what they do. That's what they're designed to do. Now I'm using Lost Shadow now. And I'm painting in the earth bit underneath that grounds everything. And I'm going around the coffin again with a bit of Lost Shadow. That way it's getting a bit of surface color down. And I'm now bringing the colors into the center of the coffin where the RIP is written. And I love the way these mini blending brushes, I got mine from... I can't remember where I bought them. You can get them everywhere now, honestly. Pink Fresh have them. Temu have them. AliExpress has them. There's like so many places that have these blending brushes that are really affordable now. Crafts Online have them. So, go to town. You can grab them. I paid, I think it was like $4 for 3. They're much cheaper than that now, which is really good. Now, I came in with some black soot on the wings of my bats, and I then came back over with, because the colours can build on top of each other, I then came back in with the hickory smoke to give it the centre of the bats a lighter colour. Now I'm using some of the black soot in the centre of my coffin to darken it right up. And I'm blending this out into the other colours so they all work together rather than fighting each other for who's going to be the darkest and who's going to be the brightest. Now, as you can see, I'm cleaning my brush off just on a piece of the cardstock. I did pull out some paper towel to brush it off better when I got down to the orange colours. Now I'm painting my pot... I'm inking up, or painting, I suppose, is the way I'm using it in my head, my little pumpkin. Now the pumpkin, the way that you can get these things to look three-dimensional without creating lots of dimension on your page with foam tapes and cardboards and building up layers is to use your inks. If you've got a couple of shades of orange, for example, so I used Rusty Hinge, I used Crackling Campfire, and then I came in with the eyes and I used mustard seed. Now I had to go over with the mustard seed quite a few times for it to build over the darker colour. I didn't mind doing that. That for me was okay. And I slowly but surely, you can see it dries and then I go again. It dries and then I go again. And that allows it, can you see it lightening up as I'm going? So you can see that the yellow's coming, you're getting that bright glow. I absolutely love how this layout, to say I love it is off the charts. Now, the pumpkin comes together when I put it on the layout later. You'll see how I do it. I do end up using a little bit of foam tape. Sorry, I was very thirsty work. Can you see I'm drinking my water? I'm doing well. Now, I used Rustic Wilderness on the pumpkin's little green stalk. And I just did that so you can see how it looks. Although it's a bit jumpy. Sorry about that. Now, this is my title I cut out on my CRICUT. I don't even know what font I ended up using on this one, but I felt like it had that pointy sort of tooth look to it. So that's why I ran with this one. Now, this is Lost Shadow. Everyone complained that, you know, Lost Shadow was going to be, we didn't want that one. We didn't need that. It's such a light colour. But I tell you what, oh, it hits right. It really does. When it comes to blending and taking on and allowing other colours to work really well with it, it does. It's the right colour. It's the right tone. It's great. Now, I went ahead. I was only going to do 2 colours on my Count My Fangs title, but I ended up coming in with Hickory Smoke, and all I'm doing, if you can see what I'm doing here, I'm actually pressing the heaviest at the top of my stroke and I'm flicking it down over the top of the red, and that way you don't get too much of a muddied effect on it and the red's not taking over the Hickory Smoke. So that allowed me to blend the colours a little bit better. I did go over with 2 layers because that Lumberjack Plaid, it really does dominate. It's a very dominating colour. Now, I do go back over and flick down with the Lost Shadow over the Hickory Smoke, and I think that just gives you a much better blend when you're doing 3 colours on such a large title. So again, the winning tool for this layout is my mini blending brushes. You can see I've got my foam daubers there, and whilst they're really useful to get the first wash of colour down, the blending brushes worked better. So to get that blend. Now, this is where I'm creating the smoked out edge on my layout, and this is why I didn't want the stenciling to go right to the edge or have such a harsh border, because I'm trying to create this old brick sort of vibe. That's what I'm going for. I'm not going for a straight perfect linear layout. So that was the colour I just went around that with, was the Lost Shadow, and I do end up coming back around. Once I put the photos down, I realised that the Lost Shadow was too light, so I went around it with black soot just to create that more smoky sort of look, and that works. I'm using my larger blending brushes. These are fantastic, and you can get them dirt cheap, like so cheap, and they give you a beautiful blend. When you're using them with the Distress Oxides, the buttery oxide with those brushes, they just blend perfectly. I love it. So these are the photos that I'm scrapbooking. Yes, as I explained in one of my other videos, we don't really celebrate Halloween much, but I love the idea of scrapbooking it. So my kids play with the with the Snapchat filters. So they took some photos with Fangs. So I thought, you know what, they look really cool, and that will the color of their lips allowed me to bring in that that lumberjack plaid, which I love. So it all starts coming together. Now, my title, I did create a black offset that is basically to help my title pop. It kind of gives it I was thinking more Dracula when I did it, but I have to say, it's giving me, with that cobblestone background, it's giving me a graffiti sort of vibe to it. So it's pretty cool. So if your kids, I apologize, my dog's barking in the background. I can't stop her because she's out in the in the lounge room, and I'm in my craft room. So we'll just have to tolerate her being obnoxious for a minute. She does that whenever someone walks down my street, and we're kind of a through street. So yeah. Yeah, so if you've got photos where your kids have done some drawing, or maybe they've got one of those hats, you know, when you, here in Australia, you can go at Christmas time and you can get hats, and you can get people to do graffiti your child's name on the front of the hat, or, you know, their nickname or whatever. If you've got photos like that, or maybe they've got, they're wearing a shirt and it might be a rip curl shirt or something like that, or a Mambo shirt where they've got that sort of font, you know, that graffiti-esque skater boy look. This would be a great layout for that. So, you know, this kind of font with that cobblestone in the background, that would look really cool. Now, I don't have any photos like that, so that's why I'm giving you the idea. Now, I did decide that I wanted a black border around these photos. So I'm just using the leftover scraps from this piece of paper, cardstock that I just cut the title out of. Waste not, want not. People, we've paid for it, so let's use it. Now, these are the photos. So those ones are Angela and these ones are Jennifer. And it's pretty funny. I love going through my phone after my kids have just taken it off out into the lounge room or whatever, and they've been on Snapchat, or they've been on, come here Lex, come on. She's trying to come in now. Hang on, I've got to let her in. Give me 1 second. Come on, Lex. Come on. I didn't close the door because I thought she might come down here. She usually comes down, and she's always under the table when I'm scrapbooking. So, and she usually comes in and she does that once Taylor gets out of bed or whatever, and she comes down this way, which is pretty cool. So you can see here, I am now going to go ahead. Now this was a little bit harder because I made the coffin so small, but I decided that I wanted to go around, and I did put a little bit of just the leftover oxide ink around the edge of these pieces just to try and give it a bit more definition. It did make a difference. It doesn't look like it made too much of a difference when you're looking at it like this, but in the close-ups at the end, stick around and see that, and you will you'll see how much it did help it. So I went around to all these pieces. It's not easy when you're talking about a strip that's it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. So it's pretty hard to do, but that's okay. I persevered. It's what we do, right? It's our craft. So I went ahead and I've put foam tape down behind my coffin and my pumpkin. You can see here, these thin strips, this is when these strips come into their own, right? The other thing I thought of after this as well, you could make this into a shaker pocket. And you know how you get in the Halloween time, I think Tim Holtz, it's either Tim Holtz or maybe it was Sizzix, I'm not sure. But I saw the other day, it came up on one of my many sites that I continually scour for cheaper products. They had little containers and they were like skulls and crossbones and skeletons. If you wanted to make this into a shaker pocket on your card, shaker element, you could easily do that with this coffin. And simply what I would do is I would put the 2 pieces that I've got pulled out, I would put them at the very back. So I would back the coffin with those and put the acetate at the front of it. And then that way all your skeletons will be moving up and down on the front of your coffin. And I reckon that would look really cool. And you know what? Then you could chuck in some glitter or, you know, some sprinkly bits as well. And that's probably a way you could get some shiny, maybe some black glitter or silver glitter. It would stand out really good on that, along with maybe some sequins. You could chuck them in here. So that would work really, really nicely. I might even give that a bit of a go on, I think I've got a couple more layouts that I can do. I might try something like that as well. I haven't done a shaker pocket for a few weeks. And, you know, I like doing them. So as you can see, I'm lifting up all of these pieces. Now, I double foam stripped these because I wanted the lid of the RIP lid, I wanted that to sit up a little bit higher just to give my coffin some dimension. And it worked. I loved it. So then what did I do? Oh, I was adding... Oh, hang on. I'm lost. What am I up to? I'll have a mouthful of water. I did this one yesterday. I've done another couple of layouts since I did this one. So sometimes I get a little bit perplexed. What was I doing? Where was I? what was I up to? Oh, that's right. I grabbed out some NUVO. This is my NUVO Glacier paste, and I used the Winter White, and just to add some sparkle to the word, the 3 letters RIP. And it looks a little bit messy there, but when you're actually looking at it, you know what it is. You know it's RIP. So then I came in with some circles, and I had to raise, because I raised up the pumpkin, I had to raise up his eyes and his nose and everything. So what I ended up doing for his nose is, you can see me here, I just cut the very, very corner of my sticky stuff, my sticky foam tape, and squished it into his nose, and that gave me enough stick in there to, yeah, that worked. I should have probably just put some dots down before I stuck the pumpkin down, but unfortunately you don't get a choice once you've put it down with this tape at all. So this is my layout, guys. Please, if you liked it, if you got value from this video, please hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment, share my videos with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. There's so much more content. I have ideas like this coming out of my brain all day, every day. So I post 6 videos a week, and sometimes chuck a live in there as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be back to chat with you tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.